Welcome, MotoAmerica fans, to New Jersey Motorsports Park, the site of our final round of the 2025 MotoAmerica Championship. And we're lucky to be joined this morning by one of our champions. He's actually the first guy to clinch a championship, which he's already got T-shirts over there, if you can see that. But yeah, he's our 2025 Mission Super Hooligan National Champion, and he's James Rispoli. And we always enjoy having James Rispoli on here because he's kind of funny. He's kind of cute.
Kind of funny, kind of cute.
Yeah, he passes.
That's a California thing to say.
So let's start with the season, and let's start with the successful part of your season, which is obviously winning a championship on Kyle Wyman's team, which is cool, new team, and he brought you in, and you rewarded him with a championship. But that didn't start out all that great. I mean, I looked today, you were 3rd and 5th at Daytona, then you had 2 non-finishes at Road Atlanta, and then boom, you blew up. You had 2 seconds and 4 wins, and you're the champion. Was it rough there early on?
Yeah, so first off, I didn't have a lot of time on the bike. You know, the deal didn't come together late, but I was, with Harley and with Kyle, it's a corporation, things move, at different speeds. And, the last year that I had on the baggers wasn't the most successful of my career. And, I was kind of in no man's land for a while, and got a couple lifelines out there from one, the factory, and then 2, Kyle stepping up. He had an existing team. He had 2 riders already. And, pretty late on, we asked if I could field the 3rd bike underneath the tent. And he didn't even question it. He said, no problem. I remember I texted him one time. I said, hey, do you really think we can win? And he goes, I'm going to give you absolutely everything to win. And I said, I'm in. So that perspective, gave me some excitement, but I knew things weren't, it's not factory, right? Kyle's doing it out of his own pocket. He has got great support. We had great people that helped us out. But it's not factory. It's not unlimited testing budget, things of that nature. I rode one day before Daytona at Roebling Road, with 1 set of tires. So when you say, did things start well? No, they didn't, because I rode the bike for the first time, and I remember texting him like, dude.
Really?
I'm like, dude, this is not good.
Wow.
I'm not in good shape. I was 2 seconds off Hayden Schultz at the time, in bad shape. I'm going to get smoked. Pretty nervous going into Daytona, but I knew that Daytona was pretty unique in itself, that if I could just kind of muscle it through the infield, that as long as we had a fast bike, then I could somehow sniff something and just be there.
What were the issues with the bike, James, initially?
It's super weird to ride. It's very foreign, right? Riding the bagger for 2 years and nothing really else. I didn't really understand how bagger orientated that I had gotten. And to go back to something that was super nimble, and the one thing about the Pan Am that it has a ton of rear grip, and I wasn't really used to that, right? And the way you had to ride it was kind of back 600-ish, 125-ish vibe,
wow, corner speed
is everything.
Wow,
tons. And I just got done 3 years trying to break everything I had on corner speed and stopping the bike, and then trying to get exits and ride it the bagger like a super bike. Right, because I came from a pretty good 600 career, and that's normally what I'm pretty good at, is big corner speed and letting the brakes off and going in kind of deep. So I just tried literally breaking that, and now I'm like, man, I need corner speed now. So it didn't go too well, but we ended up muscling through and getting a 3rd and a 5th, and I was in the race a little bit. But that's when the development started. We had Gene Burcham behind the scenes trying to lighten the bike up. Saddleman came out of the gates with a phenomenal package, having super light bikes, very quick, 3 great riders, and they were setting the pace. We had Yamahas in there. We had Debrino there. We've had a really good. We had the Arch kind of breaking, but you could see his infield pace. So I think it was really interesting. But realistically, my biggest trait is when we went racing, I sort of just found the speed. At Atlanta, I qualified 1.5 seconds slower or something like that. And lap 1 of the race, I did a 29.5, which was as fast as Jake and those guys. So I was able to find it once I could see it. I just couldn't get there early on. The Super Hooligan Championship doesn't have a ton of track time. So I was learning the whole time, and to have 2 zeros there, 2 clutches go. But we kind of figured things out once we went to the Ridge. That was kind of the big turning point. One, they stacked a bunch of weight on us to try to even out, balance the field, which ended up hurting Saddleman the most because now we and Saddleman were the same weight, which helped us in regards, but it also hurt everybody in the fact that we developed quite a bit of chatter in the motorcycle. But it fueled, kind of changing the bike a lot. At that point, I haven't changed anything. And at the Ridge was really the first time that we saw, ooh, I actually can win this thing. And that's the first glimpse that I was like, okay, I can actually beat Jake and Corey. And even though I didn't, but I felt like I could. And I just took that strength and literally Laguna, FP1, P1, pole, win, and then followed up at Mid-Ohio and didn't touch the bike.
Yeah.
Wow. So you said, you had chatter before they put the weight on or after?
After the weight.
Oh, but Ridge is when kind of things turned around for you. So the added weight helped you with some things somehow, or developing
or
the
hurt
bike.
you less.
So
Yeah.
the what it did is it forced us to change the bike.
Okay.
So like it hurt us because I think the chatter in the Ridge is like a known thing through a lot of the bikes, but for us stacking the weight on just changed the bike completely. And I had to, by the end of that weekend, we had different fork springs, different geometry, different valving in the shocks, like everything we possibly could to try to get rid of it. And we didn't quite, but we made a bike that from there on, we went to a place that we've never been and that we were kind of scared to go to. And it worked.
Yeah.
So, I'm probably a little bit of luck, but also having to have those resources, to be able to call on some friends, be able to call up some guys from the factory, having some ties to Bradley Smith, to Bjorn, to my crew chief Marco. Having access was, some of the big defining the moments of, why the Super Hooligan Championship is why we got it.
Okay, let's switch over to baggers.
Yeah.
0, 0, 0, the first 3 races.
Yep.
Now, we'd heard going into this, James is only on a partial schedule,
Yes.
blah, blah, blah. And you throw up 3 zeros, and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
that might happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we might not see him at Road America even, right? Yeah.
Then in Rispoli style, he shows up at Road America, gets second twice, and basically makes it so nobody can get rid of him. Is that kind of how it was?
Kind of, yeah. The big goal this year was, at all costs, we have to win the number 1 for Milwaukee. Right, we have to bring it back to Harley-Davidson. I was in Vance and Hines when we won it as a team. I lost it here. We lost it to Indian last year, and this year was at all costs. Like whatever it takes, we have to develop the bike and win with whoever the rider is. So going into it, I was, on a development program only with a few wild cards to just keep my feet wet and to know that I had some pace so that I could develop sufficiently, right? Like it's always worse. Like if you go and develop and you ride all day by yourself and then the guys get it and they're like, dude, you're a second off the pace. Like this bike sucks.
Right.
So you have to keep your feet wet. And that was kind of the idea behind the whole thing. And then we go through to Daytona. I have unreal speed, like race winning speed, but I crashed twice, right? One with Baz, mistake, and then just catching the leaders and tucking the front. So those 2 zeros didn't end well. And then we go to race 1 at Atlanta, which wasn't my fault. It was a clutch issue. And then to be pretty close to the podium with Bradley and race 2 was a nice taste. But you're right. Road America was the turning point. Like, if I didn't do well there, that was going to probably be done. Like, those are my 3 races.
Well, because Road America for Harley-Davidson's, it's got to be like the holy grail, right?
Everything.
That's, yeah.
Our whole goal was lockout. Like, that was
Mhm.
everything. We needed to lock the podium out. We wanted to, we built a really good package for there, even though we didn't test there, but we felt like we had a really good package. And, everybody from Milwaukee was there. There was a lot of pressure on the team to run the ST colors and to do it all in Milwaukee, right? Or in Road America, Wisconsin. And yeah, I had one of my best weekends, right? Even though I had I would say a small crash, but I still put it on the front row and felt like I had unreal pace and kind of where I should be, right? What I feel like I should be able to do on the bike that I have and what they were able to do. And after that, some decisions were made. And I think along the lines, one, for me to stay, but also because Kyle had such a good points lead, right? We didn't want to break the band up, right? Like the chemistry was there.
Leave it alone.
Underneath the tent was unreal. It's probably the closest I've seen the factory team, come together as a team, as 3 riders and, communicating and developing. And, we were one ecosystem. It's something that I've always tried to bring from Vance and Hines that me and Hayden had really good that year, was just a great communication. And, and we just showed like what we can do if we put our heads together, and, Kyle can lock it up a weekend, done is the end of the goal. So I think that a lot of it just had to do with bring the number one home at all costs.
What do you think about, so we hear this sometimes, and I want to have you respond to this. It's one make versus another make. It's an American Civil War. So one or the other is going to win it every year. It's just weird how it's worked out that it's gone back and forth. Some people think, oh, the fix is in. What do you say to that?
I love it, right? Because you can't have a hero without a villain,
right?
Whichever side you're on,
right?
You have to have them both, right? And I think that's what brings this series and the King of the Baggers specifically at a level that's so polarizing, right? Because you either love Harley or you love Indian,
yep,
right? And it's orange and black versus maroon. It's like the classic. The way that it's fallen, I think that's 2 manufacturers throwing everything they have at it, right? Bringing riders in from different places, developing 2 motorcycles that should not do what they're doing on the track. The speeds and the lap times that we're doing, the credibility is all there of what these 2 manufacturers have done. But I think that it's kept everything's interesting, right? It also goes to show you that we're kind of in, and this needs to be loosely brought, but we're in an F1-ish phase of where what you had last year is not good enough this year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And what you have on Saturday isn't good enough Sunday. Like, there's so many top guys on top motorcycles, and we're seeing, there's 7, 8 motorcycles that are unreal, 10 guys that are all champions in the class. It's pretty stacked.
And I think too, it's natural to, no matter how hard you work, when you lose, if everyone gives that much more, it amounts to like quite a bit. So I think it's natural for the team that lost the year before to maybe put in that little bit of extra effort so that they don't lose the next year. And that's kind of how it's worked out.
Yeah, I can tell you that we were at the end of last year leaving here. It was war through the off season. There was a lot of moving parts and a lot where we did not sleep. It was and I say all costs, like, to the mechanics, the development team, to the riders, we put more laps, more development, everybody was after hours all the time into this year because we knew, right? This was a big turning point for us. And I think it showed. So I agree. I think winning is, like, they always say it's easier to win, it's hard to keep it.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
It'll be interesting to see how things go, but I can tell you that we're constantly working.
Well, the rivalry is clearly very real, and it never got more real than it did at MotoAmerica. So we got to talk about it. Let's talk
I knew
about
this
it.
was coming.
Well, yeah, because it was. I don't mean this way, James, but it was kind of like it was another rider's fight that you kind of you got going on it. I know you and Bradley are pretty close. You have an interesting relationship, you and Bradley.
Yeah.
You're close.
From your perspective, what do you think happened at MotoAmerica?
I thought you were sticking up for Bradley Smith and other things. I didn't know it was you that, I thought it was, maybe my perspective is different. That's what it felt like.
I just need to understand where it, things that the way they came across, the timeline doesn't add up for me sticking up for Bradley.
Okay.
Because it was Sunday.
That's what I need to understand is what was going on that weekend with you and that other team or whatever that made it. I mean, are you just more vocal than the other guys, or you just had enough? I mean, what?
I don't even think it's like that. There's always a respect between all the riders.
Of course.
Right? Like, I would never intentionally do anything to anybody on the track because, one, it's so serious out there. We're running 620-pound motorcycles, and you can see what happened to Brad just by the bike just tagging him,
Yep.
6 broken ribs or whatever he had. And
Yep.
it's like, you can't play around with these bikes. That's why passing's so crucial, and that's why you need to have top dogs on every single motorcycle in this class, because you can't do mistakes like Twins Cups and stuff like that and get away with it.
Right.
That weekend specifically, it's an interesting one, right? There's a lot of pressure on Harley. There's a lot of pressure on us, and me and Troy have always been fine. Right, we've always communicated on, bicycles and things of that nature. He was the year before winning everything, so I think it's a little bit easier when you talk to somebody when they're winning, right? So at that point, I don't think his season was stellar, but the long and the short of it is like in morning warm up, we came through the chicane and one lap, and I gave him one of these because he was kind of slow rolling, what I thought was slow rolling. And I guess that fired him up on the cool down lap. He ran me super wide in the chicane, which I was like, what is this? Like, what happened? And then I ran him wide in Canada. So we started knifing each other quite a bit. And then he didn't pull in, so I pulled in with him to his pit and just asked him, like, dude, what's the deal? He was pretty fired up at the time, but he didn't say anything. And then he kind of started going at me a little bit. But, at the end of the day, man, like, it's a high pressure stakes, right? Like we're all trying to win races and things of that nature. And, things just, there's cameras there and this, that, and the other. And like, I'm not here to start anything with anybody. I'm probably the friendliest guy on the grid, but when there's no reason for something, like, I'm like, well, this doesn't make any sense. Like, the day before I won the challenge and the guy came up to me, he's like, hey man, you're going to win the race. And, you look good, like, congrats. And that's how it's always been, pretty respectful. So, I think at the end of the day, he said after the race and second race, it was just he needed to get fired up and stuff like that. So, I mean, it is what it is. Like, guy races hard,
He definitely got fired up for Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. And also it's just like, it's in the past, right? We're trying to move forward. So.
Yeah, I get it. I'm glad you added that perspective because I was all about
everybody thinks Big Dog over here made a freaking news clip of me.
He did.
I'm like, dog, I didn't even start it.
Right.
It looks like I started everything. I'm shouting all this, that, and the other, but whatever. It's past. Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of the things, right? It's good for the sport. It is what it is. I think everybody got more engagement that weekend.
Yeah.
It's not who I am as a person to snap on people and things like that, but I try to be as professional as I possibly can for the company that I ride for and for, my peers, and to be respectful around everybody I can. But, sometimes
shit happens.
Yeah, dude, tensions rise, and especially when I don't feel like I did anything wrong, you kind of ask questions. So we ask questions very loudly.
One of the this is completely a different situation, James. I'll take that off. I'll take the heat off you on that. I want to talk about your off season, because coming into this year and the fact that we had heard this idea that you're going to be at a couple of the rounds and maybe it'll be over after Wisconsin. Well, I was like, well, God, the guy spent his entire off season, and were you in Thailand or something?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it felt like you were not even. Was that hard for you to stay integrated with that team and be way over there doing that? And how did that come about? Did somebody ask you to do that?
Yeah, so I've traveled 3 times now to Asia. I went to Thailand twice and then China in the middle of the year. It's super taxing. But it was all planned and all planned ahead within the tests and things of that nature, so I didn't suffer, or the team didn't suffer me not being at every test. I was at every single test. I put in as many laps as those guys, if not more, on development side, trying things and developing. So from that point of view, it wasn't hard at all. The team was super great about that. from a training and stuff point of view, it was tough to stay in a routine. Really difficult, sleepless nights, with the changes of time zones and that, and, running on a treadmill all the time, which I hate running. So like everybody knows I cycle a ton. So not being able to have my bicycle and that kind of freedom, but this is everything I've dreamed about, right? Is to be with a manufacturer, to promote racing around the world. And a series like this, we did one the year before in Thailand where we went to the GP, and then we did this experience for Harley-Davidson where it's, tips from the track with James Rispoli. And we essentially take, stock road glides, and they brought between 40 guests out there, and we gave them some tips on how to ride a road glide around a racetrack. So we rent a track and we go and do it, and it's this big ordeal. We have a nice small curriculum, and it's not a class format, but it's things that I've learned over my years to help everyone be safer on the road, but also get a little bit of taste of what racing is, right?
Yeah.
And to do that through the APAC markets. And we did it, and it was so successful that we did it for the dealers in the second time around in Thailand, and then China. We ended up doing one in China, and that was unreal. We went to an amazing track, which I thought was FIM certified. They had like curbs that looked like from GP. They had the nicest pavement, and they brought these cool bikes, and they had this huge experience set up. They went all out, and it's been something for me. I've always loved traveling. It was one of my dreams to go race over in the world. I was able to do it domestically in Britain, but it's a way that I can continue to live my dream of traveling around the world, but trying to raise awareness for racing, Harley-Davidson racing, and the factory team and what we're doing here, and try to get it in the dealers and to give everybody some sort of taste and glimpse of what we're doing here in America. At the end of the day, is sell more motorcycles.
Right.
And I think with the current landscape in the paddock, there's more good riders than there are good rides. And I think that's where someone like yourself is smart, in that you're good at doing those other things. So if there's two people trying to get a job, the guy that's more like you and will go to China and will go to Thailand and not bitch about it and do all that stuff, that's going to get you a ride over the guy that maybe is not willing to do that.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to my dad back in the day, and setting up James the Rocket and all these things, and putting out a press release,
making a brand,
everything, and it's now paying the dividend now of all that training, trials and error about my brand, and now Rispoli taking over within the Harley community, and doing that, and being the guy of, I've told these guys, I said, you tell me where you need to go, and yes, like, we'll do it. And I mean, just for instance, like, I love it. I would never say no, but it is taxing. I mean, I went from MotoAmerica home one day to China, back home 3-day test, back home to the Ridge.
Wow.
Like, so, I've been gone more than I have been at home this year. And that's something that I've dreamed to do. Like, this is what I've always wanted to do. But I mean, it's taxing. It's tough to keep the balance of being this professional athlete and showing up and beating world-class riders and king of the baggers every weekend, also giving up those days where their focus is winning races. And that's where I have to balance with where I am in my career and with what I have, in my career to continue with James Rispoli and, one, racing, but two, trying to step out of the world of just being a racer. Like, I want to be a brand that's more in the motorcycle community, doing more things than just being at the track, being involved in whatever, rides, going to Sturgis, putting on different events and stoking people out about this brand that, might have misconceptions of what we do here.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially in the Asian market, because, I mean, I guess I didn't really realize American Big Twin touring bikes are a big deal in Asia.
I didn't realize how big, I guess, let me rephrase that. It didn't hit me how massive Harley-Davidson is, the impact, until I went to Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
And then I went to the GP, and we're not supposed to be there, but I'm in my factory gear. It's the most autographs I've ever signed in a 30-minute period, ever. Ever. I have pictures, and there's more hands, no orderly fashion, hands everywhere on just trying to grab, and I'm just signing as fast as I can.
I wonder if they thought you were someone else.
Come on.
I mean,
I'm messing with
but it's all that, paying that dividend and paying it forward, and to,
Yeah, it works.
to now where there's going to be a Bagger GP. So,
So you touched on this. In my mind, you're always James the Rocket Rispoli. Always have been. Factory Phil is who did that. Love Factory Phil.
Yeah.
Still do. Factory Phil. I still love you, man. But you became a Hog Spoli. The one that didn't catch on. I always call you Rip Soli.
Yeah.
Anybody ever do that?
Not really.
Okay.
I think, the first day was Spicoli.
Yeah,
right?
of course you were.
Right, because I had long hair and everything, and then I cleaned that act up a little bit. But the Rocket was always something everywhere. And then when I went to Europe, it kind of faded a little bit. But, there's a lot of people that call me Rocket still from, New York, New Hampshire. And then, Rispoli's always kind of stuck. And Hog Spoli ever since 2020.
Right.
It's
natural.
That's just it.
But here's the thing that's interesting about you. You're James.
Yeah.
Nobody calls you Jim or Jimmy. Has anybody ever called you that?
They try, but I shut it down. There's only
James
two.
is way better.
There's two people in the world that call me it.
One of them's got to be.
It's Corey Alexander.
Oh, it's Corey.
He's literally the only one, and then there's a few people that try to stick on that.
I was going to
but
say it was your girlfriend, but
No.
Corey's not your girlfriend.
no,
so-
no. Corey Alexander. He calls me Jimmy. He's the only one to call me Jimmy.
That's bizarre. It's like James. It is. That's who you are.
They tried to label me when I was in elementary school, and I just shut that down. I'm not an American Pie Jimbo. You know what I'm saying?
You're James.
I'm James.
James Rispoli.
Real quick, because I know we got to get going, but I want to touch a little bit on your podcast.
Yeah.
We don't like to promote another podcast on our podcast, but we're okay with helping you guys because we think you
we're
do
a
a good
team.
job.
We're a
yeah,
team,
we're a
right?
team, right?
Yeah,
We do things differently, obviously, and you always have a cool couch, and we don't. It kind of pisses me off, but maybe we can strap one to the roof or something,
At
and they
least-
can start bringing it to the races.
If you guys get your pods out, we seem to
True.
we seem to struggle with that.
We do have you beat on the number of them for sure.
Yeah, we seem to struggle on that, with the remote podcast, but
Yeah, we're thinking of backing ours off a little bit because once a week's pretty hard.
it is. And our big thing, with Pipe Dreams, if you haven't checked out Pipe Dreams, we're on MotoAmerica Live Plus, so everybody can watch every episode there. It comes out early on Mondays before we launch on Wednesdays. But our big thing is doing it in person like this.
Yeah.
Right? We
Yeah.
want to capture the emotion.
Sure.
And
It's easier and better.
yeah, it's good, and we want to tell stories. We don't want to have a time limit, right? Like this is tough, right? Because I'm sure we could go for another hour and a half.
Oh,
Right.
of course.
But we try to give that amount of time, and we want to have guests that are going to come on and tell us how did they get here,
Mhm.
right? And what are the trials and tribulations? What did they learn? And classic example, we had JD Beach on recently, and like me and JD race against our whole lives. And my perspective of JD and his career is completely different than the story he told, right? And I always thought, Red Bull helmet, this, American Super Camp, manager, racing Red Bull rookies. He's always had it, right? Always was going up the chain, I don't want to say golden spoon because that's just rude to say, but always had really good opportunities. And to come and find out that, he struggled and he had to pay his way on the Rockwell deal, and he was beg, borrowing, and stealing and this, and, he had to make it. And he
Right.
still continues to have to make it. And he
Absolutely.
had some bad years, and, he works his ass off to be where he is. And that's the stuff that I love,
Yeah,
right?
me too.
Because it totally changed my perspective, not on JD of who he is, but just our growing up, right? And I'm like, holy crap, like it wasn't as easy as I thought. And I think that's the coolest part about the podcast of what we do and what we try to do, and to give people even different than what you guys do. We try to go even a little bit deeper and try to bring that racing perspective of we're still current riders, me and Corey, and we can really bring, a little difference on actually talking about, things that happen in current spec motorcycles that I think it gives people a different perspective, right? Everybody wants to understand more that they don't get access to. You guys do an amazing job. And we try to do things, a little different and try to, build it in a different way so that we can both help each other, right? Like, I think, rising tides raises all ships, right? So,
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
well, I think we need more media. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
We need more outside media. We need, as much as I hate it was me at MotoAmerica, we need, I don't want to say more of that, but we need more. I think you guys have done an amazing job with the social media and covering the F1 style and not, laying off. Like, maybe not feeding into it, but documenting what's happening.
Right.
Right. Because people aren't coming. Some people aren't coming to the races, and they want to know what happened in the pit. Why was that move a lot harder than last time? Well, yeah, he chopped him going in to the pit, and they've got ruffled feathers. You know, so I think it's good for our sport, and it helps build it out in a way where hopefully we can continue to grow this, and you know, at the end of the day, everybody can make, you know, more money and and more sponsors and more partners come through the door.
And also, thanks for always helping us out. I make you get up early and go places, and you always seem to thrive with it.
We're not, this racing thing is very short term, really, when you put it in perspective. And you know, in my recent years, I've really understood the opportunity I have at Harley-Davidson and what I have being able to come back from 2019 of essentially almost retiring, being broke, and to what I have now. I'm super grateful. And I literally every day just like, if you ask, I'm there because there will be a day I won't get asked. And I'll want it. So it is what it is. I enjoy it. And, you know, if it helps the series, I'm here.
That's great. Good place to end. Thanks, James. Good luck this weekend with everything. You. And next year we'll find out what you're up to. We won't push you on the spot that much, but you know, everybody check out us on Live Plus here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. I think this is a kind of a home track for you.
Yeah, this is actually the first place I ever won. Supersport was here.
East West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is so I love this track.
Yep.
I hate that we come here at this time of the year. Like I fly into Philly, I'm like, come on guys, like, dude, it's raining every year. And then like the Superbike Championships got to get decided this weekend.
Yeah, a lot going on.
Man, I'm so glad we wrapped up the Bagger Championship because like every year we come here, it's like, oh, what are we gonna get? It's like spitting all day, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
How old would you have been? I remember I interviewed you at Laguna Seca. I don't know if you remember. But
M4 maybe
for Cycle News.
Was it M4 that year or was it
No.
Championship?
I felt like were you in the Jordan truck?
Oh yeah, probably.
I think it was we did it in the Jordan truck.
Yeah,
but you were a kid.
I don't know, probably 20.
I think you'd won one Super Sport and you were trying to win another one.
Yeah, so 21.
Yeah, I was even old then.
I know.
Don't say I know.
I know, dude. I know,
All right, Jimmy, let's go.
Oh, jeez.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.